Hey YouTubers, it's Brank here playing some more Black Desert Online, bringing you a guide on making cookies. We're going to bake some cookies and we're going to make 1,000,000 silver or more at it. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. So here we go with a guide on cookies. We're making Beehive cookies. Now, let's take a look at what those Beehive cookies actually are. So in the game, we could look at the basic Beehive cookie, the green consumable, which gives us an increased weight limit of 50 and fishing speed +1 for 90 minutes. The advanced cook that you'll get out of these, the blue that you'll get out of these sometimes is for 110 minutes. So it's a little bit longer duration, but they also sell for a good amount of silver on the auction house. These are good sellers on the auction house. They sell usually fairly quickly. Some cooks, you can also, if you want to get a little bit more advanced, use them in the advanced cooking recipes. The Serendia special. There's some other ones that you use the Beehive cookies actually in if you want to save them. This guide is just going to go over how to make the cookies, how to set up your nodes, and how to get everything started to make these cookies and sell them on the auction house. So what you want to start with is the basic recipe. The basic recipe of these cookies, I'll post up over here in the annotations, is 6 cooking honey, 4 dough, 2 eggs, and 4 milk. And like with any other cooking recipe, you can cook it with less of those ingredients, but you risk losing. And you risk, if you're trying to do AFK cooking, if you just set a batch to go, which is my preferred method of cooking, it'll pop up with a window saying, oh, you didn't use the right amount of materials to cook this. Do you want to continue? And then you'd have to hit yes, and it's a prompt that comes up. So I prefer using the exact amount of ingredients so I can make large batches of cookies or milk or beer or whatever I'm making at the time. So use the right amount of ingredients to get this stuff started. So that should be the basic recipe for these Beehive cookies. I prefer doing them, like I said, in batches, and my batch count that I usually go for is 200 milk, 100 eggs, 200 dough, and 300 honey. That will make you exactly 50 batches of cookies, which is what I actually have already made over here. And this is basically the output that I got from it. 155 Beehive cookies and 39 crisp Beehive cookies. And then we'll go to the auction house in a little bit and see how much this all sells for. Your amounts may vary depending on your cooking level, and warning, you do need to be apprentice level cooking to make these, which is fairly easy to get to. If you watched any of my other guides, like my beer guide, you can get to apprentice cooking fairly quickly, just making beer. So keep that in mind. This does require apprentice level or higher to cook these Beehive cookies. So now that we have our basic ingredients, we have a batch already made, and we have to also set up our nodes in the towns that we need to get this system kind of going in. You don't want to have to go out and try to get all the materials. You don't want to buy the materials. You want workers to gather materials and alt characters to gather the materials for you to make these cookies. And this guide and the idea behind this batch is you should be able to make this once you have the energy in the game on your main character and your alternate characters within an hour. It only takes about an hour to make this stuff. So let's take a look at the map. The first thing that you're going to want to get is Olvia. You want an alternate character out here that has energy planted at the farm that's right here around the stables. I think it's about, between the stables and this farm right here. There's a bunch of cows out there. Why you want to park a alternate character there is because you need to milk the cows. The only way to get milk, or one of the only ways to get milk, the most consistent way of getting milk, is to have a character out there milking these guys. So you're going to have an alternate character out there, and if you have never milked, there is guides on YouTube. I know I've watched a couple of them on how to milk the cows. It's pretty easy, and once you got it down, you should be able to milk the 200 milk required for this batch in less than 15 minutes. So get an alternate character, plant them out there, and then what you're going to want to do is put the milk that you get from them in the warehouse in Olvia. Another thing to keep in mind, little side note here, there is a quest giver, a little kid sitting up on a fence up there. There's also another one, but the little kid sitting on the fence, I usually take that quest because you also can get milk, meat from him, eggs, which is what I normally will choose as my reward from his quest. The eggs I find are harder for me to get than milk. I can almost always get milk. Because the other way to get milk is you can actually get milk from the dishes that you make while you're cooking. So if you are cooking a lot of beer, you're going to be making those special dishes that you actually in turn turn in for milk. Eggs, on the other hand, usually a little bit harder to keep a large quantity of eggs flowing. So anyways, pick up that quest from that kid, milk the cows, put the milk on the warehouse, and then transport that milk over to Hiedel. So the other thing, I'm sorry, let me go back to the map actually. The other thing you want to do is have a character, or sorry, not a character, but a worker working at this Bartali farm. So you're going to need Olvia connected all the way to Hiedel to be able to transport that stuff. So you're going to need Olvia to Velia, this Bartali farm, and then a worker working at this Bartali farm at the chicken meat production. Now, obviously, we're not going to be using chicken in this, but you do need those eggs. The eggs are a byproduct of the chicken farming. So you get a worker out there working on the chicken meat, and he'll produce eggs that are going to show up in your Velia warehouse. You're going to do the same thing with the Velia warehouse. You're going to click your eggs. You're going to transport those over to Hiedel. So now we've got milk on the way to Hiedel. We've got eggs on the way to Hiedel. That so far has only taken us about 15 minutes to get that milk, and it's transporting over. The next thing you want to do in Hiedel, you want to get two farms out here. You're going to want to get the Costa farm, the wheat farm here, and get a worker working on that to produce wheat, bringing that to Hiedel. You should already obviously have that done before you start this, but the other thing you want to get is the Alejandro farm, and that's where you produce the cooking honey. So now that your workers are getting the cooking honey, they're getting the wheat, you've got the milk, you've got the eggs coming in, you've got all your ingredients ready to go. Once the wheat starts coming in, you're turning that wheat into dough. So I'll pop up another annotation here. Wheat, basically the process of turning wheat into dough is you hit the produce button on your character sheet, on the inventory sheet, go to the grinding, and then you're going to click your wheat product, which also could be potato. You can use potato, barley, wheat, sweet potato, corn. Any of those products work the same way. You grind them up, and that'll become flour. So this would become potato flour. Once I have potato flour, I add a mineral water, and I'll show you that as soon as this finishes grinding. She's grinding that potato up into some wheat for us, hopefully. And a lot of times it doesn't go as planned. So now we have a potato flour, sorry. You'll have a wheat flour if you're getting the wheat, and a mineral water. You do the same thing. You're going to hit produce, and you're going to actually this time hit shaking and put your mineral water and your potato flour in there, and then hit start, and that's what will produce the potato dough or wheat dough or whatever the flour product you're using. It'll produce that dough. So now we have the dough production is going to take you about 25 minutes. You can use your main character to do it if you have enough energy, or I like using an alt to produce most of the dough for me. So I'll have an alt parked over by the warehouse. He grabs that wheat off there. He pounds it into flour. He makes the dough for me and then leaves that in the warehouse. So now in the warehouse, I have dough, I have milk, I have eggs. The only thing I need now is the the cooking honey, which should be coming in from that Alejandro farm. So I pick all that stuff up. I come into my house, I get on my cooking station, and I make those Beehive cookies. Now, I'm done making those cookies. I actually have enough for one more batch I was going to do. But what we're going to do now is go run over to the auction house and see how much this stuff sells for. So I could go to the warehouse and put these on the warehouse if you want to put stuff on the marketplace from the warehouse. But I like going to the marketplace just because I can actually pick money up too. So I go to the marketplace. I'm going to look at my registered items and I'm going to register these Beehive cookies. So I have 155 Beehive cookies. For the intents and purposes, and I've already calculated it out, the average amount you're going to be able to make is about 140 cookies per batch. If you follow my batch recipe, which was 200 milk, 100 eggs, 200 dough, and 300 honey, you're going to make about 140 cookies. Plus, you're going to make about 20 or so blue or the crispy Beehive cookies. So let's look at the price on those. Let's say I was going to put my maximum amount, the 155 that I put on there, 9,480 silver per cookie. So if we calculate that out at the basic average of 140, that's 1.3 million silver. It's actually 1,327,200, and I'll post that up here in the annotations too during the video. That's quite a bit of silver. Plus, we have the 20 crispy Beehive cookies, which sell for about 17,000. Let's see how much those sell for. I think it's about 17,000. If I was going to put up the maximum, yeah, about 17,000. So times 20, that's about 340,000. So our gross is 1.667 million silver for about an hour's worth of work, because it took us about 15 minutes to get the milk, took us about 20 minutes to make flour, and then it took us about another 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes to produce the cookies, to cook the cookies at our cooking stations, and then come and put it on the auction house. Our net after tax is about 1.1 roughly million silver. So you made more than $1 million silver in less than an hour. Granted, you had to have energy to do this. You had to have alts. You had to have the nodes already set up, but that's what this video is showing you. It's showing you where to get those nodes at. It's showing you which characters, or sorry, which farms you need to put those workers on, and get you started making those cookies. Now that you're making cookies, hopefully not everybody else starts making cookies, but you can make some money in the meantime, because like I said, they don't show up on the auction house a ton, and they can be used in other recipes. So they are a great moneymaker if you're kind of, I would say, intermediate cook. I would obviously not do this if you don't have enough contribution points to link Olvia and Hiedel. But you can. There are other ways to get the milk. You can run out there, which obviously is going to increase the time that it's going to take to gather that stuff. And this also isn't something that's necessarily repeatable every hour. Unlike some of the other guides out there, which, you know, is mostly repeatable stuff that you can repeat every hour. You won't be able to repeat this every hour, but it is a great way to make over $1 million silver in less than an hour of game time. So hope you enjoyed the guide. Have a good one, guys.